Hello, welcome back to GeForce and our continued coverage of E3. I'm Julian here with Jonathan Stiebel. He's an associate producer with Snail Games, here to talk about Dark and Light. So, why don't we just launch right in with you telling us about your game?
Sure, thanks for having me. So Dark and Light is an upcoming survival fantasy game from Snail Games USA. It's going to launch in early access on Steam later this year. It's the first of its kind, really. It's an open world survival game, similar to a lot of what's out on the market right now. But the major difference is it's a massive world, first of all, over 100 square kilometers, totally open, no transitions, no loading screens, about 100 players capped per server. That's what we're aiming for right now for early access launch.
So everybody can have their own kilometer?
Yep,
everybody can have their own kilometer.
Yep. Multi-faction gameplay, so there's 3 factions in the game, a faction of humans, elves, and dwarves, and a whole in-depth magic system, which you can just go crazy with, making all sorts of different spells, taming mystical creatures, dragons, goblins, imps. It's a really unique world for what we've seen in the survival genre.
So the world's huge, and there's going to be a ton of players and a lot of different factions. I can't get over, though, how pretty this world is. It's so gorgeous. From the outset, did you decide, like, we're just going to make this game just stunning to look at? 100 square kilometers of gorgeous landscape. Was that an ideal goal? Right,
Absolutely.
to base everything on?
Yeah, right now draw distance is basically infinite. You can see basically anywhere in the world if you get high up enough, and anywhere you can see, you can go to. It's like the old trope of you see that mountain, you can climb it.
Right.
That's how Dark and Light
I've heard
is.
that before.
Yeah.
But it sounds like, I mean, from what I've seen so far, that promise is coming good. You've got all sorts of mystical creatures, too, dragons that you can tame, you said, right?
Yeah, you can.
So what's a typical player's experience going to be if they jump on to a game of Dark and Light?
In survival games, you start out with basically nothing. You are by yourself, you start with just the clothes on your back, and a basic idea of what the story of the world is. You'll just kind of start going around, you'll get a few quests to start out with. There's an extensive quest system that teaches players how to play the game and also helps expand on the world's lore. You'll just kind of start gathering, learning more about the world, learning more about how to survive, and then eventually you'll tame a bunch of dragons.
And interacting with all these other players, right?
Oh, yeah.
So is the goal kind of just sort of start building a community on these servers and watch these worlds grow?
Yeah, it's whatever you want to make it, really. We can see there's going to be 2 different server types on early access launch, PvE and PvP. PvE, there's no direct hostile interaction between players. In PvP, it's totally open PvP anywhere in the world. So we may see some servers where the factions band together and they'll do huge faction warfare. We may see some groups where a guild will take over pretty much the entire server. We're really interested in seeing what players want to do with the world because it's whatever they want to make of it.
So if they're not busy, you know, killing each other or taming the dragons and whatnot, you guys are also integrating Ansel support, is that right?
That's true, yeah.
So they'll be able to take photographs of this open world. What's it like looking at this game with some Ansel screenshots? Have you experienced that yourself?
I have, yeah. It's crazy. We have screenshots that are 60,000 by 40,000. You can zoom in, you can see someone miles and miles away in these screenshots, perfectly detailed. You can see every single piece of a magical spell coming together. You can see water droplets forming into ice to form an ice spear. It's really crazy.
Cool. So survival fans, fantasy fans, huge, large multiplayer server fans, and people who just love a beautiful environment and maybe want to experiment with in-game photography. Sounds like this could be a good game for them.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming and talking to us about Dark and Light. Really appreciate it. Thank you guys for tuning in to GeForce. Check it out. You said it's on early access coming...
coming later this year.